Hello and welcome to episode 250A of the Paint All the Minis podcast. We put the show together so you have something to listen to whilst you are sitting at your desk and painting miniatures of any scale, genre or game. Our aim is to have a relaxed and genuine conversation with someone who's as involved in the hobby as you are from any level, from top to bottom, because we all have our own unique and individual stories. Sit at your hobby desk, paint your models, listen to the chat. We really do hope that you enjoy the content. It's a good opportunity on the 250th episode to reinforce what Paint All Minis is. You might have been an early adopter, you might have been a late adopter, but it's okay. If you're here, you're welcome. But Paint All the Minis is you. It's us. It's a celebration and a reflection of the people who are involved in our amazing and diverse hobby. When I say in every episode intro that it doesn't matter who you are because we've all got our own unique and individual stories, I truly, genuinely, actually believe that, and I really do hope that you do too. It doesn't matter your status. It doesn't matter who you are. You've been on a journey, and there's parts of that journey that are interesting, and a lot of us don't think that it is. But it really is. Sometimes we see the celebrity and we see the fame of certain people, probably not in the hobby because it's not crazy big, but you kind of see a movie star and we think that somehow their opinion is more valid than other people's, or their experience is somehow more important than others. It's not. It's not. Every individual person has got a unique story that's as important and as valid as anybody else's, and I really do hope that Paint All the Minis reflects that, because some of my favourite episodes are just shooting the breeze with a random guy. It's really important. And this is reflected in the show's downloads. No matter who is on the show, the amount of people who listen is largely the same. I'm not really a big fan of metrics or algorithms, but in an age of clickbait and sensationalization, I'm very proud that no matter who's on the show, the same amount of people listen, and we should all be very proud of that. It's a bit cliche, but hearing from people who listen and enjoy the show is what keeps me motivated and to put in all the effort. It costs me money each month, and it's a significant outlay in hours. None of that I begrudge. I don't want you to get your violin out and play me a sad song, but the genuine compensation is knowing that we are all hobbying together and enjoying hearing from the guests and what they have done and what they are into. And then also seeing you guys interact with each other on the Paint All the Minis Discord and also on the Facebook group. Every picture of a painted mini is a huge success. Every interaction, even if it's just about some food that you made or a book that you read or a movie that you watched, it's just all of those interactions is a huge win, because we came together over Paint All the Minis, and it's never about me. It's always about us. And so all those interactions is just fuel for the fire that makes me really proud of what we've created together. If I can indulge myself a little bit more, I really do hope that you enjoy hearing from our guests and the way that we put the show together. The fundamental idea is that you feel like you are in the room with us. The tech that we use or not, the questions that we ask, the editing or lack of, is all intent upon you feeling like it's a laid back and relaxed conversation with a new friend. Sometimes you can air high five that friend as their perspective aligns with your own, but sometimes our mindset may be challenged by someone's input and we may disagree, but hearing that perspective, having an open-minded growth mindset approach to the hobby makes us all welcome, validated and seen, something that it doesn't always exist everywhere in our lives that we have. I hope that I represent the guests in a positive way, and I hope that I represent you, the Paint All the Minis community, well. Here's to 250 episodes, and here's to some more. I really do hope that you take something from our time together and that you've had connections with others, and I hope that you've passed the show on to somebody else, and I hope that you've had a conversation about it, and I hope that you maybe just in some downtime between a game that you're playing, you've chatted about a guest that you've heard on the show. That would be amazing. Thanks once again to everyone who's listened, and even more to you if you sent in a clip, and even more if you are a certified post-Ramble Rambler. I can't shout out everybody individually for their contributions, but a special mention definitely goes to Mr. Dave Crow for his poem that you'll hear after the intro. So that's enough of this special pre-Ramble Ramble. Let's go!
That podcast with Dan Adams, that is.
There once was a podcasting man with a mic and a paintbrush in hand. He'd share a few words with the wargaming nerds while we paint all the minis with Dan. And after we've heard the intro, it's time for the call to Let's Go! And we'd strike up the band, the best theme tune in Podland, with a ripping good bluegrass banjo. So tell us about you, Dan would say, in a friendly, inquisitive way. And he'd ask what was good, and the sights and the food that we'd get if we went round their way. So tell us where your hobby began, asks the ever-inquisitive Dan. And we hear from each guest their hobby life's quest, and our host responds, "Yeah, that's cool, man." "And what have you been up to?" he'll say. "Are there any great games that you've played? Or what about paints? Or the minis you rate? Where can we find you these days?" And after a right thorough chat, all about all of this and all that, all the minis are painted, and the guest's gone and fainted, but the episode still needs its hat. So on to the post-ramble, where you might get a bit of a sample about what's coming soon, and all the Discord crowd news, although it's sometimes a bit of a shambles. But you know that I'm just being a tease, and we love you for shooting the breeze. So thanks to our Dan, 3 cheers for the man. 250 more, please.
When I joined Paint All the Minis in 2017, it was just a couple of dozen people with paintbrushes, slapping some colors on some minis. Then, after a while, the podcast started getting going, and at first he was just talking to the people with the brushes. Then, seemingly overnight, he's talking to James Baldwin of Drowned Earth. Then we're getting the likes of Gav Thorpe and Ash Barker, Uncle Adam from Tabletop Minions, Joe McCullough, a personal favorite. A couple hundred episodes later, the quality of the guests has remained top-notch without ever forgetting to every once in a while pull somebody out of the group, just some guy with a brush, talk about why they love the hobby. And we have yet to paint all the minis. There are minis that remain unpainted. I can see several from where I'm sitting. So I guess that means it's time to queue up some of my backlog of the paint ramble, grab my favorite, Winsor & Newton, get out there and paint all the minis. And maybe, if there's time after, I'll roll some dice.
Hello everyone, Callum aka Dr. Spork here. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dan on 250 episodes! Hooray, hooray, hooray! A very impressive achievement of which I hope you are very proud, because you should be. I had a great time chatting with you not long ago, although the conversation was more pot noodle focused than I was expecting. And since then, I have actually had another pot noodle with our mutual acquaintance, Matthew McLean, and I can confidently say I look forward very much to the next one in another 20 years' time. I've also really enjoyed working back through the older episodes of the podcast that obviously were on before I started listening. And I just love hearing the takes from all the hobbyists. It's great how many different experiences everyone has and how wide-ranging our approaches to the hobby are. As someone who spends most of his time by himself modelling and painting and precious little time actually playing, it's great to hear tales from that side of the hobby. And anyway, thank you very much for the podcast, Dan. Thoroughly enjoy it. And until the 500th episode, I encourage everybody to keep painting.
Hi, this is Dave Taylor from Dave Taylor Miniatures, and also the Build Paint Play live stream on YouTube, Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. What can I remember about being on the Paint All the Minis podcast? I think the big thing that stands out for me, or that sticks in my memory, is just how generous and gracious of a host Dan is. His curiosity about what's going on, his positivity, and his just his general desire to see sort of everybody be happy while they're painting their minis. And what is it that I love about this hobby of ours? I think the main thing, of course, is the community. I always say that as far as the hobby goes, there's a different hobby for everybody. Everybody does it for a different reason. They're excited by different elements of the hobby, be it painting or collecting or gaming or whatever it might be. But the fact that we can have, everybody can have their own spin on it or their own take on it, their own reasons, everybody can come together and celebrate those things. So definitely the community is the best part for me.
Hey guys, I'm Scott Wainwright, creator of Brutality Skirmish Wargame and the games associated with that, as well as the Let's Talk Tabletop YouTube channel. I first met Dan a couple months ago when he had me on his podcast, and I had a great time. He is a genuine person, and what I like about him is that he wants everyone to feel accepted, everyone to feel welcome, and everyone to feel comfortable. And it seems that he is extremely interested in everybody's story, no matter who you are or where you come from. And I think that is such a rare thing to find in the world. So, congratulations, Dan, for so many episodes is a serious accomplishment that most podcasts never get to. As for what I love most about the community in this hobby, it is definitely the people. By and large, you will always find someone that you can talk to, whether it be about hobbying or assembly or lore or just playing the game. You can make tons of friends, and while not everyone will always agree with your opinion on whether something is good or not or whether they like your playstyle, by and large, everybody's very civil, and we're all kind of in it together. And just meeting Dan on his podcast was exactly the same thing that I'm talking about here. We talked an hour after he stopped recording and just talking about life and family and work and all of that. So thank you so much for having me on, Dan, and congratulations, man. That is quite an accomplishment.
Hey Dan, Rich C from Futsal Miniatures here. Absolutely blown away that you're on show 250. Huge congratulations. I'm Rich Carlisle, and I had the privilege of being on an early episode after meeting Dan whilst I was at Warlord Games. Then came Pat McCon, back in 2020, I think, when I was with Sarissa Precision, and we did loads of little tutorials. It was a fantastic time. Since then, I've launched my own shop, Rock Works, and as of January this year, 2025, I've joined Futsal Miniatures. Of course, that means chatting with Dan for the third time on the show in a freezing garage. I don't know if the viewers could tell I was shivering. Now, some of those interviews are a bit of a blur, but it's always a relaxed and enjoyable chat. Dan has a way of drawing out those stories and insights that I hope have helped you expand listeners' understanding of our amazing hobby and what goes on behind the scenes to bring those highly detailed miniatures to your painting and gaming tables. I hope people have enjoyed our rambles over the years, and maybe they've helped pass the time while painting a few troops. I wish I could paint a few of mine. Have a fantastic 250 show, and I'll see you on the next one soon, I hope. Cheers!
Hey, it's Snowman Dan here. How's it going? I've been fortunate enough to be a member of this group for a while now. I first came across Paint All the Minis on Facebook. I joined up as it was a place where I could go and check out some great paint jobs and get some hints and tips on painting. Maybe a year or so passed when Pat McCon was held, and that was the first time that I got introduced to Discord. After that, there was no real reason to go back onto Facebook, as the Discord seemed a much more distilled version of the awesomeness that was there. Now, I didn't have a mic or camera back then, so I was just interacting with text on the screen, but everyone made me feel like I was right there and part of it. So needless to say, that I quickly got a microphone and camera sorted out so that I could become more involved with the group. I've been a painter from back when HeroQuest came out. I got it when I was little, and one day I asked my mum if I'd be allowed to start painting up the minis. She thought it was a great idea, so she went out and got me some paints. Unfortunately, they were the little Humbrol oil pots, but that's all that was available at the time that was marketed as model paints. from there, I've been painting pretty much consistently since then. Mainly GW stuff, as that was all that was readily available. Never really played it much just then. I just got the minis that appealed to me. They were mainly the fantasy-based ones. The 40k, everyone seemed too similar, and all they did was shoot. Not much fun there. It wasn't until I discovered Zombicide on Kickstarter that I became aware of other miniature companies or sources to get minis from, and it seemed much better value for what you got compared to GW stuff. But we all know that. Painting is the main reason that I'm in the hobby, I guess. It's more of a creative outlet for me. I've always been a big fan of myths and fantasy and all the lore and artwork that's associated with it. And this hobby really is part of that, as it allows you to create your own worlds and stories, all with a simple bit of paint. I'd say I'm more of a painter, but I still am an avid gamer. You'd think that being more a painter, I'd have a lot more games painted up than I do, but my problem is that I prefer to spend the time that it takes to get a mini painted, and that I will chop and change between games and styles and stuff, so I don't get bored. But playing games has let me connect with some great people that have become true friends, to the point where we now have a weekly catch-up just to play games and talk shit, basically. It's always a good time on the podcast when you get to the post-ramble, and there's always been members online that have listened during the recording. I know it's not very often that happens, just with all the different time zones where everyone's located, but it's always great to hear from them directly what was discussed in the podcast. Now, it's especially good if Zach's on, because that guy's got a mouth like an open sewer. It's always good entertainment. I'd like to say thanks to everyone that's involved with making this such a special place to exist. It's helped a lot of people, more than anyone would realise, I'd say. So thank you once again, and continue on with the good work. And it doesn't matter when this goes out, because this next part's still relevant. There's still plenty of time to get your entries in for this month's painting activity.
I say, old chap, have you heard of Paint All the Minis?
Yes.
And do you find their positive community spirit refreshing in this age of outrage and rampant negativity?
Yes.
Correct, good sir. I like the cut of your jib.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Renton from Mantic Games, and I'm here to tell you what I love about Paint All the Minis. I very fondly remember Dan asking just fantastic, insightful questions. I've always enjoyed his approach to how the gaming hobby should be. It aligns very much with mine. And every time I have a conversation with him on his podcast, I wish he was down the pub, which he once was, having it over a couple of beers. So I think it's a fantastic podcast. I love what he does. Please keep doing it. Congratulations on 250 episodes. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Hey, it's John D from the UK. I've been involved in Paint All the Minis for probably 6 to 8 months, I think. Very much enjoy the like-minded community, enjoy the podcasts and the variety, the chilled-out nature of it, and it's probably the only kind of Discord group, the only community group online that I'm involved in. So keep up the good work. Look forward to listening to everybody else.
Hi, Dan. Travis here from Tabletop CP. And while I was on the podcast a couple of times, what I really remember is being part of the original Paint All the Minis content crew for the website. I was just starting out with my creator journey at that time, and I just remember feeling welcome and appreciated, and just hanging out with like-minded guys. I really enjoyed it. And it's pretty much the same thing I enjoy about the hobby in general, is people are accepting and helpful and supportive of each other. And it's just a great scene to be part of. So thanks again for all you've done. And here's to 250 more.
This is Wallace, and I'm calling from Salt Lake City, Utah. And I started listening to Paint All the Minis back in March of 2019. And I had just recently gotten back into the hobby. Played when I was younger, really loved Warhammer Fantasy Battles. Enjoyed playing Dwarves and Ogre Kingdoms in 5th and 6th edition, and put it up on the shelf when I became a teenager and had the common hiatus from the hobby. And then the first year my wife and I were married, that first Christmas, she wanted to play board games on Christmas Eve. And it was a tradition that her family did every year. And so she wanted to do that. And so she got a couple of board games. I got a board game or two. And a board game that she grew up playing was Stratego. And much to her chagrin, after playing that game, all of a sudden it just triggered something that made me think about the hobby again. And even though Stratego is really nothing like miniature wargaming, but I had kept everything, thank goodness, and it was all in a box. And so that Christmas day, I went into the garage and pulled out the box and pulled out all my old minis and got really excited about getting back into the hobby. And this was Christmas of 2018. A couple months later, I was looking for some podcasts to listen to, had been watching some YouTube channels, and Paint All the Minis came up, and have been enjoying those episodes ever since, and have just really, really enjoyed the, as Dano says, relaxed chats. Never feel like anything's being sold to me or anything like that. It's just people chatting about the hobby, and I love that. My favorite episodes were some of my favorite episodes are the sustainable gaming episodes with Mr. Fish, the Why I Love episodes with just random players who love certain games and are passionate about those games. I love listening to those ones. I also love all of the episodes that just showcase independent game designers who are releasing great games. A big example for me was I didn't know anything about Sean Sutter or Relic Blade until Paint All the Minis, or Mike Hutchinson and Gaslands and the other games that he's produced, Joseph McCullough and all of the Frostgrave and Stargrave and Rangers of Shadow Deep and everything else that he's done. I wouldn't have even known about these games if it wasn't for Paint All the Minis. I mean, maybe I would have eventually found out about them, but because of Paint All the Minis, I've been able to enjoy them for, much earlier. And so I've enjoyed those episodes quite a bit. Right now, the way I enjoy the hobby is whenever I can. I've got 2 little kids, and they take up most of my time, and the rest of my time is taken up with my job. And so I'm only able to sit down at the hobby desk very occasionally. I paint a few minis a year, build more than I paint, but one day I'll have more time, and I've got plenty of paints and minis to keep me busy for more than 1 or 2 lifetimes. As far as games that I play now, I like skirmish games. I like Joseph McCullough's games. I also play Warhammer Underworlds. That's a game that's fairly popular in the area that I'm in. And so I've been able to go to some tournaments and do some stuff with that. And the minis are just awesome. And I use them for a bunch of miniature agnostic games. And it's just been a joy. Anyway, congratulations, Dano, on 250 episodes. It's an incredible achievement. Look forward to everything that comes with Paint All the Minis in the future. I've loved this community and getting to see everything that everybody posts on Discord. That's really the place where I interact with most of the members of this community. Amazing painters and a bunch of other people who just are a joy to chat with and just a delight to have an acquaintance over the internet. So thank you, Dan, for building this community, and thanks again for everything.
Hello, Frank from Panzerschule here. Congratulations on 250 podcasts. That's quite an achievement. I remember my appearance on the podcast. It was at least 10 years ago, maybe more. It was a blast. It was great fun, and that is what the internet is all about as far as this hobby is concerned. It's all about sharing, and things like podcasts, things like YouTube channels, Facebook pages and so on are all great ways to share and paint all the minis, and the podcast is a great example of that.
Hello, Paint All the Minis. Hi, I'm John Harrington. I'm one of the Paint All the Minis Facebook page admins and the lead for the short-lived, but I like to think fun, live Paint All the Minis experience we ran at Sloot a couple of times. I've been asked what I can remember about when I was on the Pattern podcast. Well, I had to go and check back. It was episode 117 back in February 2019, talking about why I love the game Beyond the Gates of Antares. If I'm honest, I can recall very little about what I said, but I suspect I probably rambled on at length about my love of the game and my long history in wargaming. Probably not the most engaging podcast, if I'm honest, but hey, it was a long time ago, and no, I'm not going to listen to myself back again. What I love about the hobby and the people who participate in it, the more I meet people in this hobby, the more I find it a friendly and cooperative activity. I've recently had the pleasure to meet a number of really quite top-level painters, and if I've asked about technique or a particular style or for some tips, to a man and woman, they could not have been more helpful. I actually had an instance recently when I had two painters both give me advice, and I had to ask them to stop because I couldn't paint the techniques quickly enough before they moved on to give me some more advice. But that just seems to be replicated across the hobby, and I absolutely love that. Specifically about Paint All the Minis that I love, it's the simplicity, particularly on the Facebook page. It's people showing what they've done. No ads, no videos, just good old-fashioned minis. But I also think we're united by the hatred of the AI questions that recently been forced onto us without any way to turn them off. So I apologise, Pattern people, for that, but we can't literally turn it off at all. Anyway, happy 250th episode, Dan. Let's go for the... looking forward to seeing the 500th.
There we go, episode 250 Alpha. All wrapped up there. Awesome, really good, amazing. You're never quite sure when you ask people to contribute to a show if anyone is gonna actually do it. But there was so many people that have contributed that I had to, I just snapped it a little bit like a Kit Kat. It was, instead of just giving you one big Kit Kat finger, a Kit Kat chunky, if you know a Kit Kat chunky, instead of shoving a Kit Kat chunky in your face, I decided to give you one of the smaller segmented Kit Kats. So you can open your Kit Kat and you can split it into two smaller fingers and you can enjoy them. Maybe, I don't know if anyone that does this, but you can listen to the 250A, that's the first finger of the Kit Kat. And then you can wrap the foil around the other finger and you can pack it away and maybe you can have that a little bit later. I don't know anyone that does that. I'd be delighted to know if you eat one piece of a Kit Kat and then put it away and then eat it. That's very disciplined, that. But there you go. So the 250th episode is split into a nice little two-fingered Kit Kat for you. I hope that you enjoyed hearing from the people. I'm really wary about it seeming self-indulgent. I don't want it to be like some sort of lap of the track, or I've got some sort of laurel wreath on my head and I'm just walking around getting the acclamation from everywhere. I hope that it doesn't come across in that way, and if it does, I really do sincerely apologise. What I wanted it to be is a reflection of how Paint All the Minis has made people feel, and it's great because making people feel something is I think it's a big aspect of what life is, right? I like horror films. I really enjoy horror films, not necessarily because I like seeing people killed terribly and horribly. That's not what I enjoy about horror films. They make me quite scared, actually. But what I like about horror films is that it makes me feel things. It makes me feel something. It's why I really enjoy film in general. The things that make you feel emotions that you have. And I really enjoy music, especially live music as well, because it makes you feel stuff. And I think that life, I'm no expert, please don't quote me on anything, and I'm sure I talk a lot of shite, but just life is about feeling things, and also the creation and kind of maintaining relationships with people. I don't know, I'm not really super religious. I know that I know nothing really, so I don't know what's going to happen when I eventually cark it. But, you know, I think that we possibly have one shot at this. And so the things that I feel and the ways that I make people feel in my life and the relationships that I can create and try to maintain, I think that fundamentally that's what life is about. And so hopefully I encaptured a little bit of this down to you guys. You know, you guys sent that in. Hopefully it's a reflection of the relationships that we've created and that we maintain through the podcast and the interactions that we have on Discord and Facebook and stuff. And hopefully the episode made you feel something. And if it made you feel something negative,
oh yeah, self-centered guy just wanting to bask in the adulation of other people and forcing people to send in messages, just blowing smoke up his ass.
Hopefully you don't feel it's that. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, and I kind of mentioned it at the start of the show, but just being witness to the interactions that people have, you know, in some small part because of Paint All Minis is something that's really, really special. So share the Discord with somebody, share the Facebook group link with somebody, share the episodes with somebody, you know, and because then you can do that, you know, you can maybe form a relationship, you can maybe form a connection with somebody, you know, because of that. It's great. I feel really humbled to have genuine actual friends that I would never have met if it wasn't for doing this sort of thing, you know. We've got friends in Australia, I've got friends in the US, I've got friends in the UK, people that live in different areas of the UK that I live, that I just literally would never have met, I would never have had interactions with if it wasn't for this whole deal. So hopefully that's a little bit less of a shambles for you, Mr. Crow. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And yeah, I really do hope that you're able to enjoy the episode. Hopefully you look forward to episode 250B, which will be coming tomorrow, the 24th of July. And then also, if this whole thing isn't really your cup of tea, you can skip tomorrow's one, and our regular episode 251 will be out on Friday with Mr. Ronnie Renton. So I've not got too many episodes in the bank now. I've been kind of trying to have an actual holiday, so I've not really been recording as many. But Ronnie Renton's coming up tomorrow. Mr. Roger Yates from the Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy is coming up on the 1st of August. We had a conversation with him a while ago now, but what we didn't really do is talk about him so much. We didn't really talk about the paint range, too thin coats, and we didn't really talk about the future too much because, you know, 60 minutes isn't really a lot of time, especially when I meet people for the first time. It's more of a general kind of a butterfly chat, isn't it? You kind of like alight onto certain flowers and then kind of flit away onto something else. But when I speak to people the second and third time, you can delve a little bit deeper into stuff, and you kind of created that rapport with them as well, so you can kind of open up. You know, I think all of us are a little bit guarded at first when we have a conversation with somebody new, right? It's not very often that we open up entirely to someone that we don't know. So it was great talking to Roger again. That'll be up on the 1st. Mr. Scott Wainwright, who is the author of Brutality, the Brutality skirmish game range, and not just skirmish games, there's some mass stuff also in there. He's going up on August the 8th. And Ed, I spoke to Ed recently about why he loves Space Weirdos, so that's coming up on August the 15th. And I'm starting to book a whole new block of new people as I kind of get back home at the start of August. As I get back to the place where I reside whilst I'm working. I'm starting to kind of block those in now. I'm booked in Stuart from Miniature Realms. It's a YouTube channel. He focuses mostly on historical wargame painting and some Warhammer Old World stuff. I've been wanting to talk to Stuart for a long time. So that's coming up. And also Mr. Dave Schmidt Smitty, he's coming up. I'm going to hopefully talk to him around the start of September. He is an author in his own right, and he's a really, really nice chap, and also a group member of the Discord. So I'll be speaking to Dave. That's taken a long time to get going. If you're a post-Ramble Rambler, Dave, I apologise for that. It's nothing to do with what we think of, or what I think about you and your level of interest. It's just kind of the stars have not quite aligned over the last few months, but I'm really looking forward to that. And I've got a whole big bunch of people that are on the messages sent and also the ideas thing. Hundreds of people. So it's going to be an exciting second half of the year. If you're still here, don't forget that we're going to start speeding up the gears for the Paint All the Minis annual 2027. That's going to start coming out over the next few months. I'll explain probably on episode 251 a little bit. I don't want to kind of go on and on and on and on and on and on for hours and hours and hours. But we hopefully will start putting together. We have started the process. The Baratheon article for the website was the first official one, and Randall's tutorial on eyes that he did recently. We're starting to put together content for the annual 2027, which will hopefully be out in November 2026. So although it's called the annual 2027, it's because it comes out a little bit before 2027, but it kind of exists during that calendar year. And the reason why I mention it is because, similar to what I've said, is that Paint All the Minis isn't about me or you as an individual, it's about us. In 2020, we put together the Paint All the Minis annual, which was amazing, which was just a reflection of the talents and insights and experiences of our hobby community at that time, and it's something I'm incredibly proud of, and we're hoping to kind of start those gears going again so we can put together another annual. So between this July 2025 to July 2026, we hope to create a whole bunch of articles for the annual and put that out just because we want to. So if you're interested in that, you can come and get involved in the Discord, message me, no matter what the article idea is. We can always host it on the website, and then we hopefully will take the best of those things and we'll put them into our annual 2027. So that's enough of this post-Ramble Ramble. I hope that you guys are all having a great time. Hopefully you're okay. Hopefully you're doing all right. If you're not, make sure you swing by our Discord group and connect with us, because you're awesome and we want to hang out with you and we want to know what you've been up to, and we hope that you're okay. And until next time we're together, keep rambling.